Hi there. I am in our garden. It's August 10th, I believe, and we're going to do our update for the garden. Every month we try to do an update to show you how it's changing. So we'll hopefully I don't go too quick, but we'll go through the garden here and tell you what it looks like. Things might look the same. A lot of things probably look different. So here at our small hoop house, we still got our kale that we're harvesting. Got all of our Swiss chard here, and then we have all of our bell peppers. We've been harvesting these now for the last couple weeks. They're looking really nice. There's nice peppers on there. And we'll come out and just start next to the hoop house. We got head lettuce. This was some kale that we took out. We had way too much, and we still have more than we need. But we don't really need a space right now. So we have that kale up there that we have just in case we need it. We have head lettuce here. These will be ready in a couple weeks. Got celery above that, and it's a little spotty because there's a pest that spreads disease in the celery, and so we take the plants out as we see that they have disease. Here we have our leeks still. These will probably be harvested here soon. And parsnips above there, and those are both longer day crops, so they've been in there a while. And here we got broccoli that may have been under the row cover last time. We have our kind of a middle planting. The flea beetles, the new growth looks good, but the flea beetles were terrible. That's why all these outer leaves don't look so nice. And then we have cabbage above there yet. And we have green beans. These are what we're picking right now, actually. These have nice beans on them. So these will probably be picked, I think, in 2 days. And the next planting of beans. And here we have, this was head lettuce that we just finished. Once the lettuce up at the top of the bed comes out, we'll either plant our last planting of carrots or a cover crop. I'm not sure, one or the other. Here we have potatoes. This is one thing that's really taken off since last month. We had our peas in there, but I think our peas may have been taken out, I'm not sure. But we interplanted these, and these are now, I mean, you could harvest these anytime. But yeah, let's see if I can find some taters in here. Man, really wanting to hide. Well, we've looked at these, and there's a nice potato. There's some potatoes forming. There's probably a lot more here. So yeah, here there's some nice potatoes really starting to fill out. But they're just starting to flower, so they usually start sizing up about the time when they flower. This is one of our hedgerows. We got berries, black raspberries. And we put some sweet potatoes in with them, and there's eggplants up there. The eggplants are just starting to come on. So big hoop house. Let's see. I think we had the kale in there. We've been harvesting it. I think last video was just about at the stage where we could start harvesting it. So yeah, we've been harvesting that for about 3 weeks. And we got carrots, and there's hot peppers up at the top of that row. And then here we cropped out a lot of our beets, and so we have celery now. And then I have a cover crop in that bed, which is buckwheat. And that bed's going to be where our strawberries are going to be. So I'm going to have the cover crop grow, and then I'm going to cut it down, and that'll kind of create a nice mulch for the strawberries.
And ginger and turmeric.
Yep, and then at the top there are ginger and turmeric. Those are really filling out nicely. And these beds here, we just freshly mulched the walkways. Makes it look a lot nicer and clean. We got carrots. That's our last little section of carrots. We'll harvest that in the next couple days. And then here we have our plantings for the fall and winter. See, there's carrots coming up here. These 2 beds. And we got more green beans. Just about every week now we plant green beans, but I think we're done planting beans now. There's not enough time for them to grow. So there's this planting. And then this is the next succession here. And then 3 beds over, we have another row of beans. And then I actually planted in between the squash here, I planted our last planting of beans. So we left the squash that are still producing and planted beans in between them. And here's more fall and winter carrots. So we plan to have plenty of carrots. We don't want to be short on carrots going into the winter. So if we have more than we need, that's fine. Carrots grow almost like a cover crop for us. Their tap roots go down. If we don't need them, they at least will aerate the soil. And here we have watermelon. You see the melons kind of poking up through the foliage. And our hedgerow, which is really looking colorful. There's yellows, reds, purples, pinks. It's quite colorful, you know. Then in our bottom section, same hedgerow, and then we have raspberries interplanted, and those are flowering. They'll actually start producing, I don't know, probably in a couple weeks. These flowers haven't opened. Like this one. I thought I saw some of them were opened. This one's not, but some of them are starting to open. So it'll give us a fall harvest of raspberries. We have a later planting of winter squash here, acorn, spaghetti, and butternuts. I don't remember I think we had those in the July update, but it's really filled in now. We have some sweet potatoes that are kind of getting engulfed, but I'm hoping they'll kind of find their way to light and crawl up the squash plants. We have yellow squash, cucumbers. These we haven't started hard to harvest yet, but we will soon. These are pickling cukes. They're actually, it looks like they're getting powdery mildew pretty bad. Or this time of year it's hard, especially when it's hot and humid. But another issue we had currently still are aphids. And I was kind of between, if you see the leaves here, there's aphids on them. And I took out some plants that were really bad. I wasn't quite sure what I should do on some of these. But as I was looking around, I started noticing there's a ton of ladybugs. Even like this leaf here has 3 ladybugs on it. So I'm just gonna let them go. I think the ladybugs will control them, keep them from spreading. And I think we'll still get a harvest off of them. May not be as much as we'd like, but just one. The reason why there's an aphid problem here is we had them covered with insect netting, but the netting holes aren't small enough to keep out aphids. Aphids can get in, but ladybugs can't. And so usually it's not a problem, but this planting, for some reason, the aphids really went after. So once we took that cover off, the ladybugs could come and start controlling them, but the aphids kind of got way out of control before that happened.
Daddy.
Hey, Gabe, can you wait a little bit, please?
Can I have some tomatoes?
When we're all done. Okay, we're gonna have some for lunch. So we have more yellow squash and zucchini. So these 2 beds were cabbage, and we still have some cabbage hanging on. But we'll probably just cover crop this out. We'll probably plant buckwheat or oats and radishes in them. So all of our cover crops will winter kill. So even if we plant them a month before the winter, whatever growth they put on is just a benefit to the soil life, and will create a little bit of a mulch. So here we have our new strawberries for next year. These were probably mostly interplanted with lettuces. So all the lettuce is out now. There's a few parsley plants we're leaving just for us to use. But the strawberries are really starting to fill in. These are taking a little bit longer because these were taken from our patch last year, and so the starts weren't quite as strong. But since we took the lettuce out, it seems like they've really started to perk up and send off runners. You can see how far behind those rows are compared to these rows. So these rows we bought new starts, and they're a lot more vigorous, which can be a good and bad thing. It's good because your plants are nice and vigorous from the start, but sometimes they send off too many runners and get crowded, which can cause problems next year if your plants are too crowded. So you kind of you want your plants to be healthy, but you don't want them to be too vigorous to where they kind of crowd themselves out and suffer. So we have up to here, these are strawberries too. We had onions, we have a few onions left, but we pulled most of the onions. And the onions were all interplanted with the sweet potatoes. So they're pretty much out, and now our sweet potatoes, some of these are actually starting to it's like a mound here where they're starting to size up. See, there's a nice potato there. But yeah, they're still kind of early, so, but if they all look like that, that's good. We got Brussels sprouts still. I'm not sure if these are gonna do much. There's like a fungus or something that's hitting them. I went and I took off a lot of the leaves to see if it'll clear up. So I'm hoping towards the top here the sprouts will get better. But I don't know, we may not be able to get a harvest from them or not. Or we may not get a harvest at all from them. So here we have our most recent planting of carrots. And what we do, especially when it's hot out, I'll water and then I'll cover with a tarp, silage tarp with the white side up so it doesn't get too hot. That just keeps the moisture underneath so I don't have to keep watering every day. We got melons, muskmelon. We've been harvesting for about 3 weeks now. And carrots. These are a little bit further ahead than in the upper section. Got all of our sweet peppers here. We just started harvesting those. They just started changing colors. And our tomato house, which we've been harvesting a lot from. Every couple days we're getting, I think every 2 days we're probably getting about 160 pounds of tomatoes from here. That's a lot of tomatoes. And then our last section of the garden up front. Right here we had beans in here, and those are done being picked. So those are pulled out, and we got just succession plantings of lettuce. We have head lettuce here at the top. We have salad green lettuce at the bottom. And then this little section here will just be cover cropped probably within the next week here. So yeah, there's beans there and carrots that are a little spotty. That's my fault. I was a little late on I explained to you that cover for keeping the moisture under. The one problem with that could be is if you're not watching it closely and the carrots start to come up, if you take that cover off, you can, well, for one, they can get lanky. But if you take that cover off and they're coming up and they're not used to the light, you take it off and it's sunny, it can burn and kill off a lot of the seedlings. So here, I think there's two different plantings here. The top planting, or two different varieties. The top variety wasn't coming up yet. The bottom variety came up first. And that's why it's a lot more spotty down there. It's because when I took it off, those were a little bit further ahead and more of them died. So, yep, that was my issue. So that's what's going on in the garden in August.
Asparagus.
Yeah, there's asparagus here. Yep.
And volunteer sunflowers.
Yep, and a volunteer watermelon. We have last year we had watermelon in this bed, right here where the carrots are. And there must have been a melon that rotted there and dropped its seed, and we had a melon plant come up. We can show them it. It's probably the healthiest watermelon plant we have, even with those over there. This here is one plant. It's probably covering 20 feet or more. It's putting on some nice melons. Got a really nice melon right here. Not sure if there's any. It has at least 2 nice melons on it. There's probably some little ones starting to form. But I can't see. But yeah. That's what's going on. Thanks for watching. Till next time, eat well, live well.